Hello and welcome to this week's edition of WCS Sports Connection Game Day. I'm your co-host, Jimmy Qualls, and with me as always is my co-host, Tate Mathews. Today's a special day. We have our friend, Dr. Matt Harris of Berry Farms Chiropractic. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, man. Good to see you both.
Good to see you, too.
Yeah.
Matt, let's let all of our viewers know a little bit about yourself, where you came from, what you're doing, and your involvement in the Wilcos. We'll get to that later, but let's let everybody know about yourself.
Oh, well, that's an exciting story in itself. Now, I'm new to Williamson County. I'm from over in northwest Tennessee, over in Union City, Tennessee. You know about Union City. You spent some time over in West Tennessee. And you were in, you've been to Troy. Yeah. Did you get a speeding ticket?
I did not.
That's how most people know Troy. They got a speeding ticket going through Troy. But yeah, that's where I grew up. Go ahead.
I stayed in the one motel in Troy. It was fun. Good time.
Yeah.
That sounds like the equivalent of Hickman County and Bucksnort.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So no, great area. So we I grew up there, played basketball at O'Brien County Central, and then went on to play basketball at Murray State many moons ago.
Well, being a OVC fan that I am and being an Austin Peay, people don't probably, if you don't keep up with the OVC very closely, understand the hatred between Austin Peay and Murray State. Not sure it's there anymore because all the old school tendencies seem to fade away.
Right.
But when you played and when I played, the hatred between Murray State and Austin Peay was something.
I still wake up with nightmares about Bubba Wells and Coach Luce. So, yeah, but you and I missed each other. You're a lot younger than me.
Well, we missed each other by a year. Your senior year would have been my senior year in high school. And unfortunately, we missed each other by a year. But you did play for Coach Edgar for 2 years and then played for Mark Godfrey. Where he got his start prior to going to Alabama, prior to going to Analyst, prior to going to NC State. And one of my fond, you were saying that one of my I wouldn't say fond memories, but one of my nightmares that I can remember was we're playing at the arena, at the Bridgestone Arena, in the first round of the OVC tournament, Murray State, Austin Peay. And I get switched off onto Aubrey Reese. At the time was the OVC MVP.
Yeah.
And it was just like all of a sudden a record skipped and Godfrey stands up and calls low. Now, anybody that doesn't know about basketball, low means it's like LeBron on the worst player on the court. It means everybody get out of the way. So Aubrey went.
And Aubrey was he was strong.
He was. He went right. I went right with him. He went back left. It was so fast that I was still right. And I finally called up to him and fouled him, and he hit an and one. And the buzzer was quickly at the table waiting. Somebody was waiting for me. Yeah. So that was my Aubrey Reese Murray State nightmare that I had. But tell us about your experience at the Murray State in the OVC back in those days. I make it sound like a long time ago, but it
was a long time ago, man. You're talking 20 years now, plus.
Well, tell us about the experience of being recruited at O'Brien, going to Murray State, your selection of Murray State. Why was that selection, and then throughout your collegiate time?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you remember, but basketball in Northwest Tennessee, especially 20 years ago, was huge. I mean, back in the day, Cannon Whitby, who's still the state leading scorer, and Robin Cood. I mean, these are all guys that still hold state records. Cannon didn't even have a three-point shot, and he was holding the state record. So, I mean, you're talking about an environment where a lot of points. 70 points in a game without a three-point shot. I mean, so you're talking about, and that's where he launched from. So you're talking about an atmosphere that was all about basketball. And, Murray kind of reflected that. So, Murray it was close to home. My main thing, I wanted my family to be a part of my career, and Murray had a great history, and they were 45 minutes up the road. And so I signed with them actually after my junior year at O'Brien Central. And, man, just a great community. I mean, you went into there. Did you ever play in the old arena?
I did, actually. My first year was their last year in that arena.
The new arena is nice, but that old arena was something special. It was hot. It was loud. It was
during timeouts you could not hear the coach. No, I mean literally. What was the name of the arena? Help me out.
Racer Arena.
Racer Arena. And they had I never forget. It was the old bowl round shape, and it had the noise meter, and man, that noise meter would be just up and down the whole game.
It only seated about 5,500 people, and it was hot and packed all the time. I mean, they had. Do you remember the old wood? One side they had the wooden reserve seating. I mean, people they only had a limited number of those seats, and people would leave them in their wheels to their kids. I mean, people had on to those forever. So yeah, it was a special place.
Well, Murray State has always been successful in basketball, especially. That is one of their staples there. Also, kind of considered as a stepping stone job for the head coaches. Prome, most recently, just got the Iowa State job, inherited a top 10 program. Prior to him, you had the guy that went to Cincinnati.
Kennedy, you had Crone.
Right.
I mean, just a lot of great coaches.
Godfrey now at NC
Coach
State.
Godfrey, yep.
So that job has garnered lots of attention as far as the head coach.
My original coach, Coach Edgar, he went on to Duquesne University up in the Atlantic 10, which that was when Canby and UMass and all those people. I mean, so that was A10 was a hot conference at that time. So yeah, it's been a.
And in recent times, Murray as well as Austin Peay have not been. I say not being. I think this past year, Murray State for sure really should have gotten an at-large bid. OVC has never had two teams into the NCAA tournament. They got upset by Belmont, which I get sick of saying since they've entered the conference.
Belmont has just come in and they're
well.
amazing.
They have done well. And I really thought that they would struggle at first with the athleticism of the conference. However, they have shown that their style of play, the high ball screens, the tons of screens running off, different defenses and being able to shoot the ball. The Golden State Warrior way of works.
Coach Bird, I think he knows what he's doing.
Just a little bit.
I mean, that's just my opinion.
But
figured out.
Yeah.
You know, they win, I believe it's 27 games this year, get upset in the last round of the tournament, do not get an at-large, get into the NIT, make it to the Final Four, Big Apple, get all that attention, and I would have liked to have seen them in there. Now, the OVC has yet to win a first-round game since James Fly Williams beat Kentucky back in '77. Austin Peay taking them into double overtime with James Fly Williams.
Now, you talking about an NCAA tournament?
That's now, yes. Did I miss one in there? Did Murray State miss one?
He only keeps up with.
Austin
Okay.
Peay. He's a homer.
I'm a homer. Give me one then.
Well, I mean, we're in Middle Tennessee here, but just a couple of years ago, they beat Vanderbilt in the first round. Remember?
Not in a few years.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get a researcher's crew.
Get your phone out. Google it.
Okay. So you go from Murray State OVC basketball. Take us post basketball career.
Well, when I was at Murray State, I'd had some health issues growing up. I'd had migraine headaches since I was in 6th grade, and I was plagued with them while I was at Murray State. I'd give myself injections, and anyway, Coach Edgar, he had a chiropractor that took care of our team. Now, we had a medical staff, and then that was all about our injuries and things of that nature, and then he had us going to the chiropractor because he wanted us to play as well as we could. And while I was under the care of this chiropractor, Dr. Dennis Heskett, a lot of things that I had been a part of my life for a long time totally changed. And so I ended up going to chiropractic school down in Atlanta, Georgia, and then moved back to Union City, and I was in practice there for about 13 years. And we decided in this past year, we had a great practice there, but we've always been drawn to Middle Tennessee. It's funny, for years, if you'd asked me where I was going when I was in school, I said I'm going to back home or I'm going to Franklin. And so it's kind of the road of life kind of brought us here, and we're just amazed by it. We really enjoy it.
You mentioned you started going down that path in your athletic career, and I think sometimes people lose sight of that. That is a very big part of it, and now the more we learn every year about the core and all that. And so it's not just chiropractic, the chiropractic piece of sports. It's not just after you get hurt. So much of what you all are doing now is preventative.
And peak
it's
performance.
A big part of it.
I mean, you look every professional team, they all have chiropractors, and it's all about how do you optimize how that body's able to function. And so in that, that translates over into a lot of health issues that you see people do better with, just like me. I thought a lot of problems I was having were normal because they were normal for me. But then, that's not why that chiropractor was taking care of me, but as he was helping my body to function better, now a lot of those things that were normal, my body was able to overcome them. So,
right.
I had double benefits there. So yeah.
Well, this is kind of a different show than what we've done in the past. We're getting onto the medical side of things. So you've told me all along that most of the medical problems happen prior to anybody really even knowing. When you get to the point where you can't move and you throw your back out, whatever the case may be, that has been going on for a while. Your body didn't recognize it, and then all of a sudden it's gotten to that point.
Yeah, a lot of things that we deal with are really not the problem, but they're the fruit of the problem. And, the problems are usually developing over a period of time. Now, you can have an injury, something suddenly that happens, you can suddenly sprain an ankle. But when people have issues that kind of, they weren't involved in an injury, but now they're having difficulty. They wake up and they're having problems, or or even me with headaches. Headaches weren't my problem; they were the result of the problem. And so, once I kind of learned that, it really kind of changes your view of how you look at your health and your well-being.
Well, you also talked about you played with migraines. From you realized at age 6 that you had migraines.
Sixth grade.
Sixth grade. Apologize. Sixth grade.
I was 7th, 8th grade. I thought putting headache powders on my tongue, and I thought that was normal. I mean, it was just normal.
So let the folks know how's the chiropractic part come into play when you're dealing with migraines?
Well, it didn't until I was in college, and when the chiropractor started taking care of us. And one of the first things, I had another teammate that suffered with severe seizures, a guy named Greg Anderson he actually, one of his claims to fame was he was like the freshman of the year at Mississippi State. He was a transfer in. He dunked on Shaquille O'Neal. Now, that's pretty big. Anyway, we saw him deal with seizures, and he did a lot better. And I was having these headache issues, and I would see Dr. Heskett, and I would do better. And then when I was under care with him for a while, I mean, they gradually just went away. And I also had some other issues. I had allergy issues and digestive problems. And again, I thought were all normal to me. And what he taught me is what was happening is when my body was stressed beyond what it could handle, that was kind of my body giving those warning signals that, hey, there's a problem and I didn't know to pay attention to it. So I didn't know to stop and so my body would eventually stop me, and so that's kind of how that whole story developed.
So we all, we're training at younger ages and things like that. And so, a lot of us have, I know Jeremy and I do, we have younger kids that are in athletics now. And so at what point, the preventative part of it, at what point do you start, when is too young to start seeing a guy like you for those type of things?
That is a great question. And because, really early, because so many people that I see today have problems that developed, going back to your question, years ago. I have wrist problems. I was a cheerleader. I was a gymnast. Or my favorite is when I have these football players that come in and, they got different issues we're looking at, and they're like, I didn't tell you I played football when I was growing up. I was like, you didn't have to tell me. I saw your x-rays. You should be about 6 inches taller. I mean, those are traumas that we're taking when we're very young that we think, well, nothing's bleeding, nothing's broken, I'm okay. But it starts to set up problems that you may not notice right now, but 20, 30 years from now, now you notice the effects of it. And look at sports. We see Kyrie, it's listening to those signals. There's a lot of speculation. The reason why he was injured was his body he was already kind of struggling, and he just kept pushing it, and then something more severe developed.
Of course, the wear and tear of an 82-game season on those guys, back-to-back nights and traveling probably do not
Well, and I
help
think
that.
that's why San Antonio has been so successful over the years. They've done a good job of learning to pay attention to what our body's telling us, and before it starts yelling at us.
So we're visiting with Dr. Matt Harris. When we come back from break, we'll talk a little bit more about what Dr. Harris has done for WCS, the Wilcos, and hopefully we'll find an answer to the OVC question of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is a haiku by Lewis Collin. Shadow of a fence, creating an artist's print for just one moment.
Welcome back to WCS Sports Connection Game Day. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls, and much to my co-host Tate Mathews' agreement and the OVC question of the day was Austin Peay being the last team to win an NCAA tournament first round victory. I was way off on that. There have been numerous since then.
I was surprised by that, weren't you?
Including the Murray State over Vanderbilt back in 2010, and most recently Donnie Tyndall and the Moorhead Eagles that propelled him to the UT job over in-state rival, in their eyes, rival of the Louisville Cardinals.
And Rick Pitino was the coach.
Rick Pitino was the coach, and I'm sure that.
And then we talked about Popeye Jones. You can't leave Popeye out.
Popeye Jones almost
beat Kansas, who ended up winning
with
Danny Manning.
With Danny Manning, yeah, and so there's been several. Austin Peay. I also missed one myself. Austin Peay beating Illinois in the first round, where Dickie V said that he would stand on his head at the Dunn Center if they won, and 2 months later after, Dickie V showed up to the Dunn Center and stood on his head. So,
and former Williamson County head basketball coach, Centennial's Brian Kelly, who's now over at Poplar Grove. His father, Lake Kelly, was the coach.
That's correct. Who also coached Fly Williams, who also coached that group that beat Illinois. So, OVC is rich and deep, and I love it. And I'm and like
we're mid-major guys.
If you play in it, the mid-major niche. Everybody has their argument about what conference, but I'm telling you right now, when you look at the surrounding conferences around the OVC, some great basketball there. Now, we can't go out on a limb and talk about the football programs or anything else in the OVC, but when basketball comes, and baseball's always had a tradition that's pretty rich in the OVC as well.
Well, back in the day now, MTSU was strong. Roy Kidd at Eastern Kentucky was strong. Houston Nutt, when he was at Murray State, they were strong. So it's been a while, but there was some good football. Right, yeah, and they were good.
And we're failing to forget, too, Western Kentucky was in the OVC for a while. Right. It's been in existence for 67 years, housed here in the back neighborhood of Brentwood here right in our back door. And, can't say enough about it. Of course, when you play for them and it's like a job and you're going in every day and you wear that badge of honor of the OVC being there. We've talked about it on air. That's where I get the premise of the WCS Sports Conference and try to take that model that they have taken in that mid-major level and branding the WCS Sports Conference, which brings us to our guest today and why you're really here. I mean, we met and we talked about the WCS Sports Conference and our love for the OVC as well, but we can't say enough thank you for what you've done for our conference this year alone and being a partner with the WCS and the Wilcos. Let's talk a little bit about that. What made you want to get involved in the Wilcos and WCS Sports Conference?
Well, I appreciate it. And, growing up in sports, to me, you realize how important athletics are. I mean, we all know that Williamson County is known for excellent academics. And, that's an important part of the educational process. And equally, for me, I feel like I learned a lot of lessons in athletics for life. And so, I have young kids that are soon to be entering school, and so we want to help support those programs and give them the opportunity to have that experience.
So for somebody who's, looking for a chiropractor or watching this and they're hearing what you're talking about, they've got something they think, man, I've never thought about it that way. I need to get this checked out.
Or just want to know, can somebody,
right.
Yeah.
And one thing, this is kind of, I guess now a two-part question is, from what I'm taking from you is, athletics sometimes are tough through it, kind of like you were talking about chiropractic.
Right.
Hey, the moral of the story is, if you think, ask, come see somebody, right? So that one, and then also to find Berry Farms Chiropractor, what is your location?
Well, we are in one of the hottest new locations in Middle Tennessee, and that's the new Berry Farms District, which is right off of Paytonsville Road. So you were right at the crossroads of 65 and 840 and 431 and 31. Everything just kind of converges right there. And so it's just a neat little place. It's got its own character to it, and so we love it there.
Easy to get to, too.
It's easy to get to. Oh, yeah. So that's the thing. Everybody from south, 65 South, 840 East and West, and South Franklin, it's easy access. Yeah.
So I met with Dr. Harris, Tate, the first time that we ever met. We obviously talked OVC basketball for a while, but once we
had these illusions of grandeur of where we were. You can be honest.
So once we finished that conversation, we went into pretty much where we want the conference to go, and I pitched some ideas to him, and luckily he was willing to help us out on this endeavor, this adventure that we've gone on this year, being the Wilcos. And for those that have not seen the Wilcos, please go to WCTV, click the link and watch the Wilcos and what we had of our vision of going above and beyond the traditional athletic banquet at the school level. We wanted something different, and we couldn't have done it without the help of Dr. Harris and Scorebird and Jackson Life, Copy Solutions, Delic, Mathews Team Sports. You've been with us all year, of course, Tate. Our partnership is I don't even have to tell you thank you, but what you've done as well.
Appreciate you all.
And Adidas and getting on board
Tuxedo,
with Street Tuxedo, getting on board with us of making this vision a reality. Like you said, academics number one, first and foremost, always has been known that Williamson County is number one. How do we bring our athletics up to speed? I think that the vision of where we're going will help us with that.
When you asked what made me want to get involved, and I think when you and I had that conversation, and you painted a picture of what you were wanting to do, and I was blown away by it. And then throughout the year, kind of seeing those things come together with the game day and knowing other things that were happening, and when we were talking about the Wilco Awards, and which was probably one of the most amazing events I've been to. I thought it was fabulous. I mean, we didn't even have something like that in college. Right. You talk about trying to reflect, what mid-major colleges, and I think you exceeded that. But also there's, in bringing all the schools of your system together in one big event, I thought it was amazing.
Well, if you look at the blueprint of the SEC, if you look at the blueprint sometimes of the OVC, especially let's take the SEC football for instance, everybody wants to be a part of SEC football. If I'm a young man playing football today in high school, it doesn't matter if it's at Vanderbilt or if it's at Alabama,
right?
Or for UT fans, UT, whatever, fill in the blank. But that is part of that conference selling that. It's not necessarily the school and the success that the school has. Now, for Alabama, for UT, for those diehards, that maybe the in-state folks, yes, it is about the university, but to be a part of that conference, which is what we're trying to build here. Regardless of what school you are in WCS, it's something special.
You're part of Williamson County Athletics, yeah.
I've told our athletic directors off the bat that I'm hoping, my vision is that if it goes like it's supposed to, that we will get people to move in here because of that, and then I'll let them fight out where they go to school.
Right.
And everybody benefits.
Well, it's just such a great opportunity for the kids. I mean, just an amazing opportunity for them.
It was, and I thought we talked about it right afterwards. The thing I loved about it the most is, the one I remember, the football award, and you got Dion up there, and you've got Critchlow, and they're up there fist bumping each other. You could tell, man.
There's a mutual respect.
There's mutual respect, and they like each other.
Right.
And they were, they all wanted to win it, but there's a camaraderie about it. I mean, I really do think they feel it more kind of like unified.
Which is part of the mission for the night. If you made it into the top three, man, I mean, it's there's no more competing.
Right.
It's congratulations.
Congratulations.
You're
the best of the best.
There. You look at I always go back to our male athlete of the year. Look at the four that were in there. I mean, you've got one kid that's a top 22 recruited kid in the country that's going to Ole Miss to play football in the SEC. You've got a kid that got drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals in the 66th pick. You've got a kid that's going to be on a full ride playing basketball at Fred Harbin. You've got a kid that, it's on and on. You go to the girls' side, same thing, on and on and on.
Right.
That's the best of the best. We shined in every category. Not just that category, but every category really showcased the top athletes.
Yeah, it did. And again, you hate to keep harping on it, but all good students, all good kids, part of their community. I mean,
the venue was amazing. Everyone had a black tie experience. I mean, it was just the standard was set high.
So that leads us into the question. You came on board and you specifically picked the Courage Award. For those that don't know, Dr. Matt Harris took the Courage Award and took it to a new height. I mean, it was the level you took that to was unbelievable. You had a company come in, follow this kid around. So take us through that process. You wanted the Courage Award first and foremost. Why? And then take us through the process.
Well, when you described the event to me, that was the first thing I thought about, and we talked about this, how athletics reflects life, and you learn so many skills in athletics that you can take with you to life, and handling adversity and challenge. It's easy to handle winning championships. I shouldn't say it's easy. There's lessons there also, but adversity will happen, and how you handle them is a skill. And I think your coaches and those teachers that you have in your life that teach you those life skills stay with you forever. And when I heard about this young man's story, the courage that it took for him to overcome that. We just wanted to highlight it in a special way, something that he would always remember. he and his family. I got to work with his parents with it, and they were terrific. I mean, you may want to touch on who you recognize.
Well, the Courage Award winner this year was Nick Axum. It was an incredible story from Ravenwood. Had some pretty severe injuries happen to him, not once but twice, that cost him.
Well, three, really.
It cost him the majority of his career. Got through rehab, got back in time to get a chance to participate and play in the state championship game against Maryville. But, you know, Dr. Harris, you came in with your crew. You met with the mom and dad. Mm-hmm. All this unbeknownst to Nick.
Right.
So Nick had no idea. He knew by the statements that had been put out in the media press release that he was going to be there, but he didn't know what for. Mm-hmm. And I wish we'd have had a camera on his face when all this was going down, because it was pretty emotional. I mean, my wife was there in the stands. She's like, "Look, that was incredible. It looked reminiscent of a 30 for 30 that ESPN would put on. The company that you used did a fantastic job. You did a fantastic job of the speaking part of it. I mean, it really hit on what you wanted to do."
Yeah, and the company did. That's Classic Media. They worked with me, and they did a great job. And we did. We wanted, you know, a couple of years ago, I suddenly lost my dad, and so you know how special those moments are. And when we were talking about it, I said, I want this to be something that he treasures 30 years from now. And so that was our goal. We wanted to do something great for the event, but we really wanted to create something special for him. And so
I did, and it kind of like in the ESPYs, you know, it brought the life part to it too. You know, right. we have the athlete of the year, we have the baseball player of the year, the volleyball player of the year, and then that brought some realness.
And the thing about that type of award is not only about recognizing that person, but it's about reminding each of us that when we face that adversity, we get a choice. Right. Do we default to our weakness, or do we step up to our own greatness? And
go ahead.
I just think the two biggest awes of the night came from your performance or your giving out the award, and the John Mayer Scholarship Award, which was just amazing for the night too, for the young man getting the scholarship, the $5,000 scholarship for not receiving athletic but going towards the school. But it's funny because you have the top athletes, not only in state, we had a couple in there top in the country,
right,
and even the world if you want to get on the major league level with Bryce being selected 66th. So you take the athletic side of it out, and all of a sudden you get real. You get to the majority of us that are not going to make it a living out of it.
And I think that's the thing. Not that in any of it did it diminish their accomplishments. I think, but what you're saying is it just reminded us of that other factor that's an important part of it too.
Well, real briefly before we go off the air, what do you see yourself in the future of the WCS Sports Conference? I'm putting you on the spot, man.
Oh man, we're here to be part of a community. You know, we were blessed where we were before. We had an exceptional practice there, and that was our goal to contribute to the community. And it's no different here. How do we contribute?
On behalf of the WCS Sports Conference, on behalf of Tate, myself, I cannot say thank you enough. Dr. Matt Harris, Berry Farms Chiropractic, thank you so
very
much
gentlemen,
for being a partner of us and being a partner of WCS Sports Connection.
Very good.
I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls, co-host Tate Mathews. This has been WCS Game Day. We'll see you next time.
When sharing the road, reaction time is important. Motorists should reduce their speed and avoid tailgating, especially in bad weather. When passing, they should leave at least 3 feet between their vehicle and the cyclist. Cyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as motorists. They should travel in the same direction on the right hand of the road and obey all traffic signals. Responsible cyclists care about the image they portray and are courteous to others with whom they share the road. Staying alert, sharing the road, and obeying traffic signals. Observing these rules provides predictability for both motorists and cyclists. Remember, same roads, same rules, same rights.